Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? It is Sunday. It is the 20th of November. And we are here. We are chilling in my queue. And lately, I've had some stuff burning up here. And normally, when I got some stuff simmering, you can expect a thought of the day. And today's... Why do I even do that? I think you like it though. Today's thought of the day is by Plato. And Plato was a mentor to Aristotle. And Plato said something really profound. And I think that a lot of people take to this. And it's funny because I'm seeing this crop up a lot in my life recently. Plato said, "Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle that you know nothing about." And isn't that so true? I mean, what are the implications of that? What does that mean? Well, I want you to park that idea because we're going to circle back around to it. But I read something recently that synergized so well with this. And it was a book by Maxwell called Winning with People. And in this book, he talks about people principles. And one of the people principles he outlines is what he refers to as the pain principle. And what the pain principle basically says, he kind of sums it up in a phrase. He says, hurting people hurt people and are easily hurt by people. What does that mean? It's kind of loaded, and it doesn't sound too intuitive when you hear it the first time, but let's break it down. Hurting people. Hurting people. Well, you know, it really doesn't take a psychologist, it doesn't take an expert, it doesn't take a PhD to recognize the fact that there are a lot of hurting people in the world today. You know, I read this article a while back that said that 1 in every 4 Americans is imbalanced. And it went on to say that the next time you're hanging out with 3 of your closest friends, if they seem normal, you're the one. I don't know how true that is, but I do know that the reality is that there are a lot of people who are dealing with some stuff today. So hurting people hurt people. What does that mean? I think that people who are hurting on the inside, they tend to hurt other people unintentionally. Like, have you ever been with someone that you feel like you're walking on eggshells around? Like, anything you say will step on a social landmine that will cause them to overreact and lash out. I know I've been. You know, I think it was Hermann Hesse, German poet. He wrote, "When you hate a person, you hate something within him or her that is a part of yourself. What isn't a part of ourselves doesn't disturb us." And I think there's some serious validity to that. Because I think that the people who are hurting on the inside, when they see things that remind them of what's going on with them, they tend to kind of take that and overreact. Whenever I see someone who lashes out, what I really see is a cry for help. So hurting people hurt people and are easily hurt by people. What does that mean? Well, the best visual demonstration that I was shown of this was in a seminar where a guy talked about a splinter in his hand. And he used this analogy of having a splinter in his finger. And he said, you know, when I got a splinter in my finger, whenever it's grazed, whenever it's touched, I have a tendency to pull back. I got a tendency to react to that. And, you know, if you and I are meeting for the first time and you extend your hand and I extend my hand and you know, we shake hands and you give me a good hearty handshake and you squeeze and I squeeze and I pull back. And you're probably thinking to yourself, what did I do? What did I say? Well, it's not always what you did or not always what you said. I got a splinter in my finger. And every time that it's touched, every time that it's grazed, I got a tendency to recoil and pull back real fast. And the same could be said about people. People who are hurting on the inside, they tend to take things personally, like way more than what was intended. They tend to find offense where none is given. And I feel like in the same way that a splinter in your finger could cause you to overreact, some people got a splinter in their soul. And what's more is that hurting people tend to hurt themselves in this way. And in the same seminar, this guy used this visual demonstration of this old comedy routine back in the 50s called Amos and Andy. And it was about two guys who would wait at the train station every morning for the train. And one of these guys was a know-it-all. And he was always talking down to the other guy. And every time he would talk in this matter-of-fact way, he would poke this other guy in the chest. And one morning, this other guy came into the train station, and he met with a third guy, and he was saying to him, he goes, you know, I'm getting real fed up with this guy poking me on the chest every time he talks to me. I'm going to really get him. And this third guy goes, well, what do you mean? And this guy opens up his trench coat, and he's got 6 sticks of dynamite lined on his chest. And he goes, just wait, when that guy pokes me on the chest again, he's going to blow his hand off. And the same could be said about people who are hurting on the inside. They tend to act the same way emotionally. When something happens around them, they just tend to overreact. And in the long run, they really just hurt themselves. So the question is, how can you help someone around you? How can you help a person who is hurting on the inside? Well, I don't really know. It seems to be something that they have to work on themselves, but I do know how I can react. I do know how you can react. And the one piece of advice that I can give anybody on this subject is, don't take it personally. Don't be so egotistical to think that what people do and what people say is because of you. Nothing anyone does is because of you. People do things because of themselves. You know, everyone's living in their own dream. Everyone's living in their own mind. And my favorite book, one of my favorite books by Miguel Ruiz called The Four Agreements, talks about this. People do things because of themselves. That's the bottom line. So, not taking it personally is key to understanding people. Because we're so self-centered, because we're so egotistical, we have this inclination to say, well, what's wrong with me? Well, there's nothing wrong with you. The things that happen to people are a result of what's going on with themselves. People who have unresolved things within, they lash out in ways, and they act and behave in ways that are over-exaggerated, over-protective, and just overreactive. So don't always think that it has anything to do with you. That's the best piece of advice that I can give in that area. Well, that's the thought of the day. So if there's one last takeaway, it's really just have compassion for people, because you really don't know what people are going through. You don't. But what you can do is be an understanding person to help that person bridge the gap from where they are to where they want to be in life, where they are to where they could be. And you can be that bridge. That's all I got tonight. Hopefully I'll talk with you next week. I'm teaching a class right now, so that's taking up a lot of my time. But I'm going to create some time for this, and I'll talk with you next Saturday. That's all I got. Have a wonderful week. Happy Thanksgiving, and I'll talk to you soon.